It's starting time, and this is the final session of our 2 days of training for KIM users and KIM approvers. This is our final session for approvers, which will be led by Shuva Rahim, a trainer at Leapfrog Technologies. And I should note that I'm recording this session so that we can post the results at the Provost website landing page, where we have a variety of resources being accumulated to help people get used to KIM and navigate their way through it. And with that said, Shuva, I'll turn it over to you. And best wishes for your final approval training.
Yeah, all right, thanks. So this is the approver training. So this is only going to focus on primarily what approvers see, and we're going to work in the courses area. So KIM is our new curriculum inventory management system. And just by way of introduction, I'm Shuva Rahim. I'm a trainer with Leapfrog Technologies. We're a software company based in Iowa, and we make products for colleges and universities. We've been collaborating with UMW to get this product up and launching. So these are the 3 KIM sites, but again, like I said, courses is going to be the main place that I'm going to show you stuff in. KIM stands for Curriculum Inventory Management. There are 3 components to this. There is an online form, so it's going to be replacing a lot of the paper process, and any changes made are going to be denoted in a red-green markup. The green text is new information being introduced. The red text with a strike through is information that is going to be recommended as deleted. And then there is this workflow chart that appears after a course has been submitted for workflow. So the role that is in green indicates that that is the role that is currently approved the proposal, and the role that is in orange is who has the proposal. Under that, there is a timestamp box that appears. So we'll see this in action in a little bit. Just some basic terminology in this interface. Workflow is the approval process or the governance process. The word deleted is something that you'll see. That does not mean that a course has been trashed. It basically means it's not currently offered, but the record of it still exists. And this help bubble item is really more for the end users, but it's really an icon that appears periodically on the form to give users some additional information about what they need to fill out. So in KIM, you are proposing updates to existing courses and proposing new courses. Once a course has gone through the approval process, it will be considered active or at rest. And once that happens, there is an option to inactivate a course. Similarly, if a course is shown as inactive or deleted, you do have the option to reactivate the course. Now, once someone submits a proposal, workflow begins right away. And you can think of it as basically passing a baton from person to person. So that's really what workflow is. It's just kind of passing things along as you approve them. And for those of you who are approvers, really what you will find is that there is going to be an email that is triggered by KIM, and it will alert you whenever you have a proposal to review. The email will be customized, and it's customized so UMW is indicating your name. It is also displaying contact information such as John's and Kevin Cafferty's contact info. And it's a little bit configured so it doesn't look like a phishing email. The other thing to keep in mind is that the workflow is very linear. It does not skip steps. And the people who are at the beginning of an approval process are going to look at a proposal first. The people who are at the end generally will be at the last part of the approval process. The people who are approvers, they do have the option to roll back, and that is called, or send back, that is called a rollback. If you send it back to somebody else in the workflow, that proposal is still considered in workflow. And that will be documented in that approval path. Now, approvers, you can edit a proposal as well. And I'm sure there's going to be some parameters in terms of when you can edit somebody's proposal. But you also, again, also have the option to send it back via rollback or approve it, moving it forward. The other thing that will be in the approval path are some FYI designations or FYI all tags. So really what that means is there are people who are only going to get email notifications about a proposal. These are primarily committees. And so a committee will get an email saying, hey, there's a proposal for you to look at. They can go ahead and click in the link that they see in the email, and they'll see the proposal changes, but they will not see those three icons that you see at the top there. And then in addition to the approval link, so the CourseLeaf /approve dash or plus anything following that will be the link directing you to the approval space. That's what will be in the email, but you do have the option to go into the approval space with another route. So I'll talk about that as well. Okay, so I'm going to go into Kim as a regular faculty member, and we're going to go through what we see here. So this is Kim, and if I do a search for a term, it will come up as not found. This is a little bit more particular than a Google search. So when you think about how you search for things in Google, you just generally type in whatever word. But if you want to define a search, you will use quotation marks. In Kim, instead of quotation marks, we use asterisks. And so asterisks will then result in showing the everything in the university that has the word business in it, even if it's technically not a business course. Otherwise, I can just type by search by course code. So this will reveal all the courses with that code. And when I click on this, or when I see this, it will show me everything in numerical order. And then clicking on it again will display it in reverse numerical order. The title will display alphabetically and then reverse alphabetically. Now, if I have a course that's something that starts with a number, such as 19th century literature, that will appear before the A's. The workflow column is something that will only appear if you have something in the approval process. So right now I'm not seeing anything, but we will in a little bit. And then status, by default, it will have nothing. So if there is nothing under status, that means the course is at rest or active. And you can also do a filtered search with this quick searches dropdown. So when you do this, it's going to then default to everything that's going on campus. So when I click on edited courses, I will see everything that is considered that it considers edited. Now, all these, or a lot of these here, are in workflow, as you can see. So there's things going on in the approval process. As I scroll down, I see this one course that says edited, but nothing in workflow. So that really means that that course has been modified in some way, but it hasn't been submitted. And then I see added courses, newly added courses, courses that have been inactivated. This will then appear as deleted. So if you have a deleted item, you can also choose to reactivate it by clicking this green icon. And furthermore, there is a 10-day waiting period option. So this is really going to show course proposal changes expedited after approval from the college level governance. So what I want to do next is go into a particular course and then highlight some things and then change a few things in the course form. So this Data 219 course is cross-listed. We see here that there are catalog pages referencing the course, as well as programs referencing the course. So this long rectangular box is what we call the ecosystem. And this is important because it gives you a sense of how many areas this course touches. So there is going to usually be a scroll bar attached to the ecosystem. And as I move down, I can see where these links are and how they apply. So I can see, you know, different items about this course outside just the course itself. When I click on, say, computer science, it's going to redirect me to the computer science page in the catalog. And here I can then find where Data 219 is and how it relates to computer science. As I scroll down, I will see that there is more information about this course. This is showing also a preview of the actual form. So there are a lot of things that are filled out and some things that are not. And one thing I want to do here is point out that at the very bottom, there is this reviewer comments area. This is actually not on the form, but this is something that you can interact with in the approval space. So going back up, there is this option of export to Word or export to PDF. When I click on the PDF option, it will display a PDF, but it's going to show you only the areas that have data attached to it. So if you are looking for a piece of information that was in the preview that didn't have information, it's not going to display in the PDF. Now, the next thing I want to show you is the preview workflow link. And here you'll see that this particular course has a workflow that starts with the computer science chair. So this person will get an email once the proposal is submitted. And after that person approves the proposal, an email will then be triggered to the curriculum committee. So everybody here will get an email, and because it is identified as an FYI all, it's an email notification step. Everybody gets an email with a link to see the changes, but they don't, in the software, get to say that they approve the changes, or at least click the green approve button. Immediately after, and what I mean by immediately, I'm talking really literally microseconds after the email to the curriculum committee goes out, and another email goes out to the committee chair. The committee chair is an approver, so that person would go in and approve. And then it follows this path, an FYI, and then another approver step. And then the banner step at the very bottom is really the final step, which solidifies the changes. As I get out of this, I'm going to point to this inactivate button. And this is not going to inactivate the course, but really open up a proposal to inactivate. And what this is basically indicating that this red box is required. So I know this because, well, I know because red boxes are required, but in the workflow, when I click on workflow, which is my turn it in button, it will then give me this pop-up saying the following fields I need to be filled out because they're required. So I would fill this out. And in the very near future, what we would expect is this justification for this request will also be a red box. So that is how you can propose to deactivate a course. I don't want to deactivate this, so I'm going to hit cancel. And now I'm going to go into the course form itself, and I want to highlight a few things in terms of workflow. So one, there is some verbiage here that talks about how to fill out the form, and some verbiage here about expediting the proposal. If I click on expedited proposal and say yes, and I scroll down all the way and click save changes, what'll happen is the status will then change to edited. And again, this really means that the course now has been modified in some way. Furthermore, I'll see changes saved but not submitted. And then as I scroll down, I'll see this dark green text implying that this is new information that is presented here in the proposal. The other thing that is not as obvious, but I will click on here, is the preview workflow. Because I selected yes for expedited, the workflow now is changed. It includes now a 10-day waiting period. And it includes what's called a regen step. So this is basically a step where the proposal updates, the software updates the proposal, if additional information has been added. So that's what that is. And then the registrar's office takes a look at the proposal a second time. So those three components are new things that were not in the workflow in the previous version that we just saw. When I go back and click on edit course, if I click on no for expedited and click save changes, what I will see next in preview workflow is that there are these university steps incorporated that were not there before. The committee chair, the faculty council, and the faculty council chair are now part of the approval process. All right, before I go into the course further, does anyone have questions? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on edit course again. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going into the details, but really the key thing for really, if you're an end user, you'll need to fill out the red boxes. That's really the key thing. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do that and make sure those are selected. And kind of go through the motions of filling out this form. Now, one of the things I want to point out is if you do want to change existing information, like the course catalog, the catalog description, which I just did, I can go ahead and do that and click on Save Changes. And when I save these changes, I'll start seeing the items that are new in dark green, but also I see the items that I took out in red with the strike through. So that catalog description is a good example here of like that red-green markup. So let's say I've finished with this course. I like what I see. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Start Workflow. So once I've submitted, that Edit Course button goes away and that Preview Workflow box goes away. And this workflow box appears. What you are seeing in this box are simply the approval roles. So these are people that are handed the approval power. You are not seeing the FYI people, the committees. Those are not displaying, but you can be assured that they are getting emails. So what's going to happen now is when I update this, I see, okay, the CPSC, Computer Science Chair, has the proposal. Their role is in orange. And I'm in Firefox as a regular user, as Deborah. I'm going to go into Chrome as an approver and show you what the approvers would see. So when I go in, what will happen is, as the computer science chair, I will get an email in that link, and there's a link in the email, and that will redirect me to my role in the approval queue, my role and my approval queue, which is this. So I can see that I have a line item with that course, and Deborah, which is the approver or the proposer version of me, just submitted. I will scroll down here and I can see that there's some green markup and then there's some red-green markup. And let's say I've reviewed this course and I like it. I can click on this Add Comment button and it will pull up this text box where I can type in something like great proposal and click Save. Now that comment is now part of the official record of this course, and it's going to be displayed at the bottom here where it says reviewer comments. Now what I'll do here is I'm going to click approve, and when I do that, it's going to then trigger an email to the curriculum committee, and then literally right after that, the curriculum committee chair. So now there is going to be an expectation to have some communication offline, because you can't really 100% rely on Kim to communicate any decisions or changes. So there has to be some sort of standardized protocol in terms of going through this process as well. So so just because an email is triggered doesn't necessarily mean you have to click on that and hit approve right away. So I'm going to go ahead and click approve here. And what'll happen is that line item will disappear from the chair's approval queue. And back on the side of the proposer, when they go back in and log into Kim, they'll see that the chair has approved the proposal. The curriculum chair now has the proposal. Under that, there is a timestamp box that starts displaying, showing when that chair made that decision. Scrolling down even further, there is going to be this item here that says reviewer comments, and that comment is also displaying here. Now, it's important to note that Deborah does not get an email alert every time the proposal moves forward. So she will have to go in and check in on the progress of her proposal. The other thing is, let's say Deborah is looking at the screen and the committee chairs had the proposal for quite a long time. And so Deborah's curious as to what's going on, what's taking so long. What she can do is hover her mouse into this workflow box. So you'll see that it changes from an arrow to a finger pointing hand. And so when I click on this role, it will then prompt me to choose my email provider, and I can write an email to that curriculum committee chairperson. So that is an option available for the user if they want to do that. So the curriculum committee chair gets an email, and that email will have a link, and that link will then take them back to this approval space. And here, the curriculum committee has a lot of things to review here. There's program changes, there's course changes, and one of the changes that is being noted is the Data 219 course. So the curriculum committee chair looks at this and reviews it, reviews the changes. And let's say that this chair wants to edit the proposal. So they can click on the blue edit button here. It will open up the course form. And let's say, for example, the curriculum committee chair changes this "and" to say "as well as." After that change, let's say that person goes all the way down and clicks in reviewer comments. So again, reviewer comments was not part of the original proposal. This is something only that the approvers interact with. It only comes into view for the approvers. So here, the committee chair can say, made minor change in catalog description, and click Save Changes. Now, before this person moves it on, one thing to point out here is that in the blue strip here, there is 3 icons: Approve, Rollback, and Edit. And then there's also View Changes By. So if I line this up accordingly, I click on the dropdown, I can see the different changes, who has made changes. And so if I click on Deborah's name, I can see, oh, this is what Deborah changed. And if I click on my name / me as an approver / curriculum chair, I can see, oh, this is what that person did. So it really allows me to separate who did what with that View Changes By. So now let's say that I like what I see here, and I'm going to go ahead and move this forward to the governance chair. And so I'll click Approve. All right, so now on the approver side, I'm sorry, the proposer side, if I update this, I as a proposer sees that the first 2 roles have approved my proposal, and it's now at step 3. The proposal also includes an expanded timestamp box. As I scroll down, I also see that, hey, there's another comment. So really, it's up to the proposer to know, what they changed and look for any oddities or any additional changes, as well as any comments. All right, now next, the governance chair has it. So the governance chair gets an email, and let's say, for example, the email that they get, they don't want to click on the email. They're just not, that's just not their thing. So there's another way to get to the approval space. And just a reminder again, this first link here, /CourseLeaf /approve / whatever comes after this is going to direct you to the approval space for your particular role. However, if you don't want to do that, you can just click on /CourseLeaf. So when you go to /CourseLeaf, it will then give you this view. So in this area, there is this section called Approved Pages. When I click on that, the approver must locate their role in the dropdown. Whereas in the email, when they click it, the role will automatically be selected. When they go through the console and click Approved Pages, they will actually have to click on the dropdown to find the role. And sure enough, the governance chair sees that line item. As that person scrolls down, they see their colleagues have approved it. But in reviewing the proposal, let's say the governance chair has some issues with the proposal. They can click on edit. I'm sorry, no, they can click on rollback. Rollback is essentially saying I want to send it back. Now, if I line this up accordingly, I can see that the person selected by default is the person right before me. So if I select the person right before me or the computer science chair, that proposal is technically still in workflow. If I select the computer science chair, I'm essentially telling that person to review that proposal again and approve it again. And once they do that, it will then go to the curriculum committee chair again. So I'm basically asking my colleagues to do their work over again. One thing I want to make clear is that if I send it back to the computer science chair, it will not skip the steps and come back to me again. It will go from 1 to 2 to 3. So now in terms of a rollback in my frame of mind is something that has to be pretty serious. You wouldn't roll back for, say, a spelling error or a punctuation error. But a rollback would be something very serious. I think like something is missing in the proposal that's significant, or the proposal is incomplete or inaccurate, something, something major. So what I'm going to do is click on Deborah's name, select her name, and if I click rollback, it's going to then ask me, you need to say why you're rolling back. You need to have a comment. So here I'm going to make a comment, and when I do, what'll happen is the workflow box that you see on the preview screen, as well as this approval queue, as well as the approval path on both ends, disappears. It's as if those things that happened don't matter anymore. Those approval steps don't matter if it's rolled back to the initiator. So in a sense, the proposal is kicked out of workflow. So I'm going to go ahead and click roll back. And what'll happen is when I refresh this, I will see now it's back at edited and no workflow. So there is no workflow box. There's no timestamp. It will still continue to say changes saved but not submitted. It will have the changes that Deborah made, but we'll also have the changes that approver in workflow made. And furthermore, it will have that rollback comment in this preview space. So that is the whole process of rollback. All right, so we are at a half hour left. So another thing I do want to point out is when you go into, let's say, the designation area, designation admin, there is a different workflow for different designations. So if somebody wants to apply for a designation for their course, it will have a different workflow depending on the designation. So digital intensive, for example, is going to look slightly different than, let's say, Gen Ed. Gen Ed is going to look like this. Honors, if we take a look at this workflow, because nothing has gone through honors yet, The honors committee will be involved in that, and there's going to be some FYIs here. So that is just going to be something to be aware of. The process in terms of approving is going to be exactly the same with the designation as well as the programs. In the program side of KIM, the workflow is going to be very much similar to the courses side. And you will note that one of the key things is that the dean will also be involved in the program proposal, program approval process. So that is the key thing in terms of approvers. All right, so does anyone have questions on what I've talked about?
I think the key thing for us at this point is to work to develop a good understanding of the conditions under which an approver would do an edit and then notify the person who had submitted the proposal to them that the edit was done, as opposed to notifying someone first to say, you know, I want to do this edit so that we can keep your program proposal or your course proposal moving forward. And I think that's just going to be a process for us to kind of experiment with as we are bringing KIM more into utilization on an active basis. At this point, every proposal that's been submitted so far has been approved and moved right up, but there haven't been very many that have gotten past the curriculum committee stage at this point. So this is definitely a to-do item for us, and probably cause for us to remind everybody that KIM is a digital process, as an online process, doesn't eliminate the need for you to actually talk to each other and make some decisions outside of KIM.
And John and Shuva, this is Brian again. I was just looking at one of the proposals, and it was a special topics course, classics or maybe philosophy, and it's in the queue now. And I noticed that with special topics, some of them are going to have different prerequisites. So there is just a statement in there saying prerequisite will vary by topic. And I think we have used a kind of a standard statement in the catalog for that in the past.
What course are you talking about, Brian?
Let me see if I can pull that up.
Because one of the things, if this is a special topic section of an already approved special topics umbrella course, that doesn't have to go through KIM.
No, I think it was a new umbrella course, if you will. Sorry.
Because I didn't recall any new special topic umbrellas.
So it was an edited course, I'm sorry.
Right.
It was Classics 351.
And what they were doing there was changing the credit hours.
Right. And so there's a prerequisite statement there. It just says will vary depending on topic.
And that exists. That was already in Banner.
Okay.
That's the way it is in Banner. So you see above that, the red and green?
Yes.
That's all it was changed on this course proposal.
Okay. So is that consistent with what we've set up in the past? Do we always have that statement in that exact way?
I have seen this statement. I've seen other statements, and I think maybe one of the things that KIM will enable us to do down the road is to be able to standardize a lot of this stuff, because we'll be seeing it, more consistently and through a process that integrates our course approval process more directly with Banner and then with the catalog. But right
Okay.
now, that was the way that that prerequisite was created when the course was built.
Sure.
So,
Okay. And I guess I raised that just thinking about, this gets through the whole process. And at the very end, if we wanted to put in some standardized text for that before we load it back into Banner, that would be maybe an example of an edit we could do at the last step as a registrar's office.
right, notifying the people downstream that here's why we're doing that and here's why we need to do that. Because the last stop in the curriculum approval process is the registrar's office before it either crosses the bridge into Banner if it's a course, or if it's a program, then the completed program edits move from Kim into the catalog. And if it's a designation, then they move from Kim to Evie's list or whoever's doing Evie's list after Evie decides she's working for somebody else out there in the great wide Midwest.
Okay.
I'm glad we're talking about prereqs though. I have it's probably a very specific question, but it's my understanding that the bridge is not going to write prerequisites by the nature of how we do it. I don't know how it could. So I guess for the workflow and the notification piece, what I'm hearing is the registrar is the last stop before it goes to Kim, and this might just be something we have to work out internally. I'm wondering, would I or someone in my role then get a notification that says, these won't bridge because of what's being changed?
Well, I don't know about that. I think if we put that's the reason for this. See, don't put a period at the end of the prerequisite or co-requisite list. Use the discipline code, all those instructions there. My understanding from our functional specification document is if we do that there, they're supposed to pop into the course description at the front of the course description, which is the way that our prerequisites show up. So it starts out with prerequisite. And in fact, we had a problem before because in one of our test cases, there was a period at the end of the prerequisite. And so that's why the instruction is, 4-digit, the 4-letter capital discipline code space course number. That's it. No punctuation.
And so that will load it into the course description. And then there's a separate step that we'll have to do in Banner to actually build that prerequisite for registration purposes.
Correct.
Right.
So I guess one of the things we were thinking about, Evie and I were talking about this, is Evie going to have to look at every single proposal to see, did that prerequisite change? Or could we add some type of indicator onto the form at the very end that Kevin just clicks, yes, this one was a prerequisite change, so Evie can identify those courses.
There's a reporting capability that we have on the dashboard, on the course leaf dashboard, so that a report can be run indicating these are the kinds of changes that have happened.
Okay.
And it outputs as an Excel report, and then you would be able to filter it by the type of change.
Cool.
I think that we haven't got enough course changes into the system yet to check that. I noodled around with the report and saw basically how it works. So once we have the big crush of proposals that'll come through in November, that'll be a time to test the reporting capability that's available for us.
Okay.
So there's a course, there's a program report, a courses report, and a designation report that will enable us to extract what business has been going on each of those forms.
Okay.
So that may be the way to get at that.
Sure.
Okay, good questions. Anything else? Well, if not, then it seems to me that we give Shuva a break until her final meeting with us, which is at 4 o'clock for a debrief on the last 2 days of our training. And will also be the opportunity for us to thank her again for all of the time, effort, and energy that she's put into the process of helping us to understand the features and capabilities of our new curriculum inventory management system. So thank you, UMW folks, for dropping into the training. Thank you again, Shuva. See you in 25 minutes or half an hour as we do our administrative debrief.
Are other people going to be joining that debrief?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Thank you.
Registrar's office, worker bee
Got
folks.
All right.
And Evie, do you want to be part of that debrief to follow up on some of the
Sure.
questions? I can't remember if you had signed on to that. No,
No.
you didn't. But I'll send you the,
Okay.
and then you can explore further any of the more technical issues that are crossing your mind.
Sure. Thanks.
All right.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.